return to the WWE. Do you think this is a good decision, or do you think the WWF will really put into a corner?
Well, I mean, it's always good to have him around. It's not like a bad decision as far as to have him around. I would have introduced him with more hype and more, you know, like to build it up for 2 or 3 weeks where The Rock's coming back. So you can, you know, draw a sellout crowd for his return, which they didn't do. Draw a big TV rating for his return, which they didn't do. And they disappointed a lot of people, like on SmackDown, you know, in Sacramento. Everybody expected him there, and he wasn't there. I think that they were really scared going into this pay-per-view tomorrow because it's the first pay-per-view in, you know, I don't know, 5, 6 years where both Rock and Austin wouldn't have been on the show. So I think that they just felt it was necessary to make sure that Rock, you know, is involved in the show, and people knew ahead of time that he was going to be on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, and talking of King of the Ring, Dave, we're having a debate tonight in the studio. Who is going to be the King of the Ring? So out of the 4 men, who's your tip?
Hopefully Brock Lesnar. I think of the 4, he's the worst of the 4. I mean, as far as you know, wrestling-wise, but I think that you know, he's the one they need to push because they need to make a new star, and I think they've already, you know, Van Damme had a chance a couple of months ago, almost a year ago, and it just, you know, they kind of let it slip. And Jericho, you know, Jericho's not going to be elevated by winning King of the Ring. He's already at the position he's going to be. So I think Lesnar's the one who should win. Now, on the subject of King of the Ring, Dave, we have Jack from Chesham on line 1, and he wants to ask you what The Rock's doing. Jack, you're through to Dave Meltzer on Talk Wrestling.
Yeah, about King of the Ring. I was just wondering on Rock's return, do you reckon he would face HBK?
The
Rock can say, Michaels, there's no plans for Shawn Michaels to wrestle at all right now. I mean, I expect that he will, but right now there's no plans. Rock's role is supposed to be to present, I think, the winner of the King of the Ring with a trophy or whatever it is.
Do you think the fact that Rock's presented it, do you think that sort of says who's going to win it? Do you think that means that Brock's going to win, there's going to be a confrontation?
That's what I think, yeah. I don't know that, but I would, you know, that's how I would put it, yeah.
A question I've got about Brock Lesnar. Are we going to see Brock as a good guy or a bad guy? Because I'm just wondering, are they going to run with him? When are they going to give him the ball? And is he going to be good or bad? Babyface, heel.
Well, you know, I mean, WWF, he's going to go back and forth because everybody does. I think he should be a heel for a while. You know, with Paul Heyman, I can't imagine him being, you know, a good guy at any time soon. As far as, you know, I mean, I think they're going to start, you know, and they've already started the push for him, and I think that the push will get stronger as the year goes on, hopefully, unless somebody derails it, you know, and I don't know who that would be. And, you know, I mean, you never know from one day to the next because, boy, when I heard Vince Russo was back, that's it. I mean, anything's possible.
Now, when we're talking about King of the Ring, we got a call from Ayaz in Luton, and he's got a prediction which a lot of people may disagree with. Let's see if you agree with him, Dave. Ayaz, you're on line 2, and you're on Talk Wrestling here on Talksport.
Hello, David. I am from Luton.
Hi, mate.
Hello, yeah, and my prediction is that I think possibly Test might win the King of the Ring.
Test will win the King. Dave, what do you think about that?
I would say it's a real long shot.
Is it? I mean, you know, it's going to cause some frustration backstage, certainly, for someone who like Test, who's really looking for that big push to actually lose it to someone like Lesnar. Do you think there's much frustration towards Lesnar, Dave, or are people quite satisfied with the push he's getting?
Well, there's naturally going to be some... you know, there's naturally going to be that, just because of the nature of wrestling, and also because you're talking about, you know, there's, you know, as far as ability as a professional wrestler, of the 4 guys in King of the Ring, Lesnar is a distant 4th because he's got the least experience, you know, but at the same time, they need to create a new superstar and someone who isn't tainted by, I would say, like mediocrity, which unfortunately a lot of the guys were. And in the case of Jericho's already at the level, so he doesn't, it's, you know, winning King of the Ring doesn't help Jericho anyway. Van Damme, I don't even know if it helps him, because he's already at a certain level. Test, yeah, it helped Test for sure. But I don't, and I know that there's people who are high on Test, but I don't think that Test has the long-term potential that Lesnar has.
Regarding Chris Jericho, you said he's already at that level. I actually disagree with you, Dave. I think they've basically buried Jericho. I think if Jericho won King of the Ring, it might help giving him that extra oomph. Maybe to go on again and challenge for the world title, but I definitely hear what you're saying about Lesnar.
Well, he could either way. Jericho's already on, you know, on SmackDown. You know, I mean, the whole show, as far as the heel side, it's been from day one Jericho and Angle, so they're the top 2. They've been the top 2 heels on SmackDown. You know, I think that Jericho, I think that how he was used probably from January through March was pretty bad, and then he's kind of, you know, he's at a certain level, but winning King of the Ring doesn't elevate you. I mean, you know, elevate you to the world title level, if you know what I mean. I mean, if you look back at the King of the Ring, a lot of them have gone nowhere from it. I mean, Edge You know, Edge won, and I mean, he wasn't anywhere close last year at this point to where Jericho is now.
But of course, things have changed because they're now promising that whoever wins King of the Ring, of course, if they keep their promise, that they will have the world title shot at SummerSlam.
That's true. But see, Jericho. I mean, if Jericho were to win, you'd be looking at Jericho against Hunter, Undertaker, or Rock, because obviously one of those three is going to end up with a belt. I mean, Rock and Jericho have great matches. Hunter and Jericho's been done to death, and it's just a problem. And Undertaker and Jericho is a match that, you know, I don't think anybody even want to see. You know, it's just like a bad mix.
Now, Dave, moving off the actual King of the Ring tournament and onto some of the singles matches, the two that really stick out for me have got to be whether two wrestlers that really deserve it will be passed the torch. And those two matches have got to be Hollywood Hulk Hogan against Kurt Angle and, of course, Ric Flair against Eddie Guerrero. What are your predictions, and do you think the WWE is going to do the right thing?
Well, the problem is with Ric Flair is that Ric Flair is being, you know, for the short term has to carry Raw. So I don't know that he'll lose to Guerrero. I mean, you know, Ric Flair certainly, you know, if they ask him, Ric Flair's going to, you know, he's lost to far worse. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they ask Ric Flair to do, he's going to do. It's not, and he'll do it the right way. So it's just a question of what they want, not Ric Flair. Hogan and Angle is a very intriguing match to me. You know, not based on who wins or who doesn't win. I mean, I'm presuming Angle's going to win, but I think that the nature of how that match is scripted and how it goes is really, it's really an interesting match because, and Hogan's behavior. You know, I mean, it's like Hogan's a really smart wrestler, and I mean, you know, I mean, he's one of the smartest out there, and in this run has been a lot more brains than physical, believe me.
Regarding Hogan, do you think he'll be done after SummerSlam? They're talking about McMahon, Hogan for SummerSlam. Do you think that's it? Hogan's, you know, not a full-time talent.
I don't know. I mean, I would say that if everyone was healthy, I would say that there's a good chance, but I think that they're going to ask him to stay, and the reason I say that is because with all these injuries, and, you know, Rock's not going to be around after SummerSlam, so, you know, at one point that was the plan, was that after SummerSlam he would go home for a while. I am skeptical that when that time comes that Vince won't go to him and go, please stay.
Now, Dave, anyone who's been listening to the radio show and doesn't know a lot about wrestling, the one thing they won't be able to escape from is, of course, Steve Austin and his departure from the WWE.
Yeah.
Now, to lead into that, I think David from London has a superb call because it's something a lot of people are really asking. David, you're through to Dave Meltzer here at Talk Wrestling on Talksport. Fire away.
Hiya, panel. I just wanted to ask the panel what their views are on Steve Austin leaving the WWE, because I'm a big fan of WWE. I'm also an internet fan. A lot of people on the internet are saying that, you know, it might be an angle, it might be like a work, or is it a real-life story? The other thing is,
I can tell you 100% that it's not an angle.
It's not an angle?
Believe me. I mean, everyone wants to believe it's an angle. I mean, at the show, they were in Oakland on Monday night for Raw, which is very close to where I live.
Right.
And almost every fan in the building thought it was an angle. Okay,
Right.
You know, and nobody wants to be fooled, but this is not an angle.
I mean,
okay,
I can tell you that. I can tell you for sure.
What about the other?
I mean, that's not a fake story. I mean, it definitely happened. I mean, how it happened, you know, the only version of the story that's out is the version that Deborah told the police. And Deborah told the police that he punched her in the eye, and she had the bruise, and then he punched her in the back, and she had bruises there as well. So,
but no
you know,
charges.
It's a real story.
But no charges have been filed against Steve Austin.
No charges have been filed against him, and they're fine, and they're living together, and there's not a there's not a problem where he's like running from the police or anything like that. You know, he came home, and it's been pretty much smooth. You know, I mean, I don't know if it's smooth. I haven't talked to either of them, but I mean, I know that he's living at home with her, and she hasn't pressed charges. If she pressed charges, he would be in trouble. Since he hasn't, since she hasn't pressed charges, there's really nothing further to the story.
Just to let the listeners at home know that obviously these are allegations, and they are just allegations, and nobody here at Talksport wants to go along with them. And, you know, people have domestics all the time at home, but obviously Steve Austin being in the public eye, I mean, you know, the thing that it just comes at a bad time for Steve Austin. What is his mental state at the moment? I mean, do you think, Dave, that, you know, really he's had enough of the wrestling business, full stop? And also, what's the chance of a company like NWA TNA grabbing someone like Austin and maybe elevating that company to the next level?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, okay, you know, he's got a contract, and they're not going to release him. WWE is not going to release him from his contract. When the contract expires, you got, and if WWE doesn't sign Bill Goldberg, it would lead, if you had a Steve Austin and you had a Bill Goldberg and you had a TV network ready to pump money in, you would have a chance to have legitimate competition for Vince McMahon. Okay, Jerry Jarrett on his own, no, he doesn't have the finances to pull this off. I mean, to pull off to be competition to Vince, but you know, that's a lot of ifs. You know, I mean, history tells me that Steve Austin's going to be back in the WWE, probably, some sooner than later. Everyone always comes back. I mean, the only one who didn't come back is Bret Hart, and that was more deep-seated than anyone else's. And they tried to get him back too. So they'll try, and
as
business business will be down, and business is going to probably be down until he comes back too.
And as the late great Rick Rude always said, there's no such thing as burning bridges in this business.
There's no such thing as burning bridges when it is either perceived that you can draw money, or it's perceived that you have ability to be creative, even if you really don't. If you ever gained a reputation in the business, no matter how much you screw it up, you'll always have the reputation of in the business.
For those people that have just joined us, you're listening to the voice of Dave Meltzer, the man that runs the Wrestling Observer, the trade journal, and some people's Bible in the world of professional wrestling. Of course, this is Talk Wrestling each and every Saturday between 8 and 10 on Talksport. You can speak to Dave, as we have him for another 10 to 15 minutes, by ringing.
So he could be back for the next pay-per-view, so if he won the title, it'd be fine. However, if there's more wrong with the elbow, and there could be, and he needs major surgery, he could be out for months. And because of that, I don't think they can afford to put the title on him tomorrow in the let's say 25% chance that he's going to be out 4 or 5 months.
So what you're saying, Dave, is that just after SummerSlam, we could be looking at a WWE without Hulk Hogan, without Triple H, without The Rock, and without Steve Austin.
That's why I would say that it would probably be with Hulk Hogan. For exactly what you said. The odds are Triple H will be back in a month, but if his elbow was really bad, it could be longer. And you're right, it could be. There's a solid chance that they could be without The Rock. They will be without The Rock for sure. There's a good chance they could be without Austin if they don't mend fences. And there is a chance they could be without Triple H, and that's why Angle and then at that point losing Hogan, I think it wouldn't be, in their mind, I don't think it'd be good. Because they could make for a very tough fall.
Now, Dave, a lot of people out there listening don't know much about professional wrestling, but they see it as fun and games. You've just spoke about Triple H's injury. How commonplace in this industry are injuries? Because we've seen it with some of the top guys.
You know that better than anybody.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I could sit here and explain it, but coming from a wrestler, it never ever sounds too. I'm out with an injury at the moment, but everyone always says, "Is it at work? Is it a shoot? Is it real? Is it pretend?" Dave, you know more wrestlers than anyone on this panel. How commonplace are the injuries, especially in the WWE?
Everybody is to an extent hurt all the time. It's just a question of the severity of the injury. I mean, most of the injuries you can go out and wrestle with. I would say that when they talk about injuries now on television in WWE, in the old days, in the 70s and 80s, when they said somebody was injured, probably 70% of the time it meant they were going to another territory or they're going to Japan or something. Today, I would say there are so many injuries that nobody even bothers to make up injuries. On occasion, they are, but I would say 95% of the injuries that you hear about are legitimate injuries. And the injury rate is higher than it's ever been because the physical demands are higher, and also because what a lot of guys are doing, with the steroids and everything. Steroids, and they're a weird drug. They enable you to recover from injuries faster when you've been hurt. But they also, if you're taking them, lead to a much higher rate of injuries when you're performing. It's really weird.
Okay, Dave, changing subject slightly, and we've got some English guys out in the States at the moment. They're doing the Ring of Honor show. I mean, have you seen anything of Jody Fleisch and Johnny Storm, and what do you think of them?
Well, I mean, I saw Jody Fleisch and Johnny Storm on the show, what was it, the show in February or March? The TV show on Bravo?
Right.
Yeah, so that would be the only time I've actually ever seen Johnny Storm wrestle, and he's very good. And Jody Fleisch I've seen in Japan for years, and I mean, he's one of the best flyers in the world. They've worked several independent shows in the States. They worked, Combat Zone Wrestling a couple of weeks ago. They worked last night for New England Championship Wrestling. And I mean, the reviews that I've heard are tremendous for them every show.
Now, joining them on the tour tonight, I just spoke to him literally about an hour ago on his cell phone, is Doug the Anarchist Williams. Now, a lot of the praise he's received in this country actually came from you, Dave, because you what did you quote him? The most underrated wrestler in the universe, or whatever.
Most unknown, underrated.
The best the best wrestler you've ever heard of, or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I saw him wrestle in October. Tremendous wrestler, and I saw his match with Eddie Guerrero, and he was really good there. And I expect that he's going to wrestle American Dragon tonight on the Ring of Honor show, and I've seen them wrestle once. I think this Ring of Honor show tonight is going to be a lot better than King of the Ring. I think it's going to be one of the shows of the year.
Now, we've spoken about Ring of Honor, CZW, and NWA, TNA. For those people that don't know about them, explain a little bit about the situation that has developed now in professional wrestling, where everybody is chomping at the bit to be the next big thing, the next big promotion, the next WCW or ECW. And which of those promotions do you think could really do it?
Well, Combat Zone Wrestling is more of a local thing in New Jersey, and it's been around for a couple of years, and it's got a cult following, but it's probably one of the bigger of the independent groups in the United States, but, I mean, it doesn't have television except in 1 or 2 markets. Ring of Honor actually will just be getting its first television. I think they're going to make the announcement tonight, actually. They have a tremendous, they're a work rate promotion. I mean, up and down the show, they probably present as good a card as anyone does in the United States. They've only run, I think this will be their 4th show, I think. But, I mean, I've seen the tapes of all their shows. They're really, really good. NWA TNA is on pay-per-view in the United States. They debuted on Wednesday. They had a good show, not a great show. And, I mean, they're the one who has, because of the exposure, you know, they can be seen pretty much by anyone if they want to spend $10 a week, which is an interesting concept. You know, they're the one that has the best chance as far as, you know, gaining publicity, and they got a bigger, you know, they're going to have more stars and things like that. The top guys, I mean, Ring of Honor and Combat Zone are kind of at war, so they're not going to be using a lot of the same guys, but NWA TNA is going to be using the same guys as in a lot of cases as Ring of Honor, you know, like the AJ Styles and low-key Christopher Daniels. Hopefully he'll get on NWA TNA. I mean, he should. There's some great talent that's not in WWE, and, you know, it's just a question. But it's like in other countries. You know, it's like if it's not WWE, the masses don't know about them.
Now, Dave, while we've got you on the line, we've got Christopher from Nextborough on line too, and he wants to ask you a question about something not just wrestling related, but something about his future career. Christopher, you're on Talk Wrestling, and you're talking straight to Dave Meltzer.
Hi, Dave.
Hey.
Pretty much what it is, I mean, I know you're a wrestling journalist, and that's the thing I'm looking to get myself into. I'm just wanting to know, what would you recommend, you know, for an upstarter, how to get into the business?
Make a lot of friends and get some really good training. It's you know, the odds are tough, but, you know, people have survived the odds.
No, Dave, he wanted to know as a wrestling journalist, how would you get into it?
How to get as a wrestling journalist? Make a lot of friends.
Same thing.
And study a lot of writing.
The same thing, make a lot of friends and get good training.
Yeah, that's right. Get good training. You know, go to college. Definitely go to college for journalism. But the most important thing is to make a lot of friends and do a lot of writing. And if you do a lot of writing, it's like writing's like anything else. The more you do it, the better usually you become at it. If you do it every now and then, you probably won't get all that good. Some people are natural talents at it, like in wrestling. But yeah, you just work really, really hard. And also, I think to be a journalist, the other thing, study everything you can about the business all over the world. I mean, one of the advantages that I have, and Brian Alvarez as well, over most of the journalists in the United States, is that we study everything we can all over the world, because if somebody in Japan has a good idea and you don't know anything about Japan, then you don't know that, you don't understand that idea. And, you know, so many of the ideas, you know, Paul Heyman's ideas, which revolutionized the business, which WWF stole, and WCW stole, and you know, changed the business and made it so popular. I mean, he got it because, you know, he was copying Japanese concepts. The NWO angle was a Japanese concept. If you watch all wrestling all over the world,
Doink the Clown was a Japanese concept as well, wasn't it?
I've seen clowns in Japan. That's probably a Mexican concept, actually, because I've seen clowns in Mexico before Doink. So, but you know, if you study it all over the world, you'll have a better handle on things when they come to the United States.
So, Dave, before you leave us, your final King of the Ring prediction, are you sticking with Lesnar?
Yeah, I'll go with Lesnar. If it's not Lesnar, then I'm going to think it's a bad idea.
Well, and you know, if you were booking, would you book Lesnar, or as a fan, I mean, who would you like to see go over in that?
As a fan, let me see. I would like to probably. I mean, as a fan, I probably would like to see Jericho go over personally, because I think he's the best of the four. But if I was booking it, I would book Lesnar.
And the other thing I've got to say, I mean, the big question we always ask, especially off-air, is what are we expecting to be the match of the night? Dave, what do you think will be the match of the night tomorrow night at King of the Ring?
When I look at the thing, if they're allowed, Hurricane Jamie Noble would come close. The other one on paper, Jericho Van Dam, because, you know, they had a couple of pay-per-view matches last year that were tremendous, and if they can, you know, reach that level again, I don't see, I don't see Hunter and Undertaker or Hogan and Angle being able to top them, or Lesnar with anybody.
I'm shocked, Dave. I'm shocked that you didn't say Ric Flair, Eddie Guerrero.
Ric Flair and Eddie Guerrero could be good, but Van Dam and Jericho, if Jericho's on his game, could be better.
And I just hope Ric Flair wears a T-shirt.
You're right, though. Flair and Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero's a phenomenal wrestler. So and Flair is always good. So yeah, that's probably another one though. You're right.
Dave, it's been great having you on the show. Hopefully we have you again next week. Before you go, we've had loads of emails about the Wrestling Observer. Where can people pick it up? Just let us know.
Well, there's two things that you can do. You can go to www.wrestlingobserver.com, has all the subscription information. But in the UK, we have a distributor in the UK, and you can go to email to grapplingaction@aol.com, and you'll get all the information that you need to subscribe.
And I must just say, guys, it is the Bible of professional wrestling. If it wasn't for the Observer, I probably wouldn't be hosting this show. Guys, when we return, we will have in the studio the biggest tag team that you will ever see, and we'll tell you the next time you can see them, which is a big show coming up soon. They weigh in a total combined weight, two people, a total combined weight of over 70 stone. They're the UK Pitbulls. And, of course, do not forget King of the Ring predictions and Jake the Snake Roberts coming up. I mean, you are huge, huge guys. Give us your stats.
Yeah, well, I'm on the bulk. I'm 6 foot, 35 stone. My brother Dave, he's 6'3", 27 stone. We're the biggest team in Europe has today. We hold 5 different titles in 5 companies in the UK. But actually, one of those titles is an American title, the IWF hardcore belts, which we won over there. We went over there last year. Basically, we're here to the show at Telford on the 5th of July.
Yep.
We're here to talk a bit more about that.
Now, guys, anyone that hasn't seen you will, I mean, there's a stereotypical view of big men being a lot slower and stuff. Obviously, you're not going to be doing moonsaults for your size, but Bolt, for example, you weigh in excess of 36 stone, and you've been known to do a flip plancher off the ring. I mean, that is incredible for a big guy. How have you always been this big, or how did it start?
Yeah, well, before we started wrestling, Big Dave was a strongman for 10 years, pulling trucks and that sort of thing. Always been a big guy, so we're natural brothers anyway, so we decided the team would be a good thing. And as for being big guy, not everyone's fan of fat guy wrestlers. Not everyone likes that sort of thing. But we do know that there's a lot of people out there that don't like what we do. But we say, hey, we go entertain. We entertain the crowd as well as the lightweights. And we can do that sort of stuff if we need to. We think the crowd deserves to see me do a moonsault off the top through a table. Well, I thought I'll do it if they deserve it.
Now, Big Dave, I mean, your brother just said that you started off in strongman competitions. How did you get into professional wrestling from that?
Well, we're local. Our local federation is the WAW in Norwich, and we were big fans of like wrestling in general. And we started watching the local shows, and basically we were approached by Ricky Knight, who's in charge of WAW, if we were interested in becoming wrestlers. I myself started the training school. And Mike, the bulk, came along to watch for a while. And when I started actually competing...
I thought we needed a bit of a hand, you see. I thought I'd give him a helping hand.
He was in the background giving it a lot of mouth, you see, and the promoters thought he'd fit in quite well.
And just to ask an obvious question, guys, Jake the Snake has his snake to the ring. Do you bring your pitbull?
No, I haven't got a pitbull. I've got a dog, which would make me too terrified.
These guys are the Pitbulls.
Right, okay.
A question I've got for you. You talk to, say, a lot of smaller wrestlers, and you ask them who their heroes are, who they inspired them to become wrestlers, and they say people like Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. Obviously, you're a slightly different style. You're more like the big Van Vader. What guys did you look to model yourselves on?
Well, Vader, obviously, he's a big influence on both of us. Abdullah Butcher, a personal influence of mine. And also one of our greatest influences, an old UK wrestler by the name of Crusher Mason, who is dead now, and he's unfortunately, and he helped train us along with Ricky Knight and Saraya, and he was a big help to us. He taught us a lot of old British big man moves. He was probably one of the most underrated heavyweights in Europe's ever seen. He wrestled as the Mighty Chang. He was a tremendous wrestler. He could do the flips to the outside, smash off the top rope before it was seen. It was uncalled for when he done it.
What about yourself, Dave?
Well, I quite like some of the smaller wrestlers and the submission style wrestling. I quite like the style of sort of Ken Shamrock, but I'm also like Rob Van Dam, that sort of thing. But myself, I think it's got to be Vader is mainly the influence of my style. But we try and like mix in lots of stuff. I mean, one of the tag teams, the Natural Disasters, I think were quite underrated, really. I mean, a lot of people, they're just big men, but when you see some of the matches they have had, especially against the lighter opponents, they're pretty good matches.
I think one of the things that I'm always impressed by when I see the big men moving around the ring, some people always moan about, they're not as slow, they're not as, they're slower and they're not as fast as some of the smaller guys. But really, when you take it pound for pound, you big guys are moving around at quite a speed.
Well, our main opponents are light wrestlers. Our main opponents, there's not many big teams in this country. Most of the teams we wrestle are smaller guys. Like the coal miners, we wrestled Jody Flash, Johnny Storm quite a few times. We always have tremendous matches with the lighter guys, And I prefer wrestling the lighter guys because we can do more. We can do more things with them.
Do you have a competition? Who can throw Johnny Storm the furthest or anything like that?
I reckon Dave could throw him pretty far.
Yeah.
Now, walking down the road, I mean, you're not. I mean, for people that want to see you, we were telling them the next big date they can see you on, and that's in 2 weeks' time at Telford on the 5th of July. But for those people that have the misfortune of passing you on the street, I mean, what kind of looks do you get?
Oh, I've been used to it. We've been big all our lives, so we're used to the comments and the stares. I love it basically. I like the attention. I'm an attention seeker myself, and getting people staring at me all the time, yes, we're used to it.
We don't really have a problem. I mean, you get a lot of kids will say things, but they're just kids. It's when adults make comments, that's when you have a problem, maybe.
What sort of training do you guys do?
Well, when we're not wrestling, we try and train every day when we're not wrestling. Up till about 4 or 5 years ago, I used to do strongman training. So I was training 5 days a week and weekends.
Well, you've got to train. If you're wrestling, you've got to train. It may look like we blow up when we walk to the ring. It may look like that, but we train for fitness 3 days a week, and we train with weights 3 days a week. We do a lot of cardiovascular training. It might not look like it, but we do it. You have to. If not,
I think fitness is relative, basically. Just because you're big doesn't mean you can't be fit. I mean, last night we had a match for the UWA. Jimmy Ocean was involved, and a guy called Kraft, and that went like 20 minutes. That was pretty much non-stop action the whole way.
I reckon we could do. I'd do an Iron Man match lasting an hour. I reckon might not be the best match in the world, but I reckon I could go an hour with anyone in this country.
I think what people have to realise is the bigger you are, the fitter you have to be, because it's not like,
definitely.
if you're 10 stone, you're just carrying 10 stone. If you're 36 stone, you're carrying the weight of 2 other people on your back. And I think people forget that. Just simple tasks like walking into the ring, for someone that big must blow you up. So you have to be extremely fit to do 20-minute matches.
Oh, yes, I do blow up when I get to the ring. I put a lot into our entrance. I make sure it looks good. And that's why it's good being a tag team, so you can have a bit of a breather.
Now, guys, obviously, being wrestlers yourselves, you're fans of professional wrestling. Do you catch time now to go to the switchboards? I suppose talk a bit more about the American scene. We've got Ben from Woking in Surrey on line 1. He wants to give us his prediction for King of the Ring. Ben, you're on Talk Wrestling.
Hi, everyone.
Hiya.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, I thought that Brock Lesnar might win the King of the Ring because they need to make a new superstar, and Jericho and RVD are already main eventers.
Yep, so you think Brock's going to be the next big thing then, Ben?
Yes, and Tess has been mid-card for too long.
Okay, so guys, what do you think about that? I mean, how do you feel about Brock Lesnar? Obviously, people are pushing him as a big guy. They haven't obviously seen you two in action, but I mean, guys, what do you feel about Brock Lesnar? Do you think he's the next big thing, and do you think he's going to win King of the Ring this Sunday?
I think he's getting pushed too much at the moment, Brock. I'd like to see him, win. I reckon he's got a good chance, but they're pushing him too much. I think they should lay off him, wait for someone like Hogan to come available, and push him with him, I reckon.
Okay, if you could have just one or two opponents from the US, if you could get 2 guys that are singles wrestlers and bring them together, who would be the 2 guys you'd love to wrestle?
Do you want to answer that one, Dave?
I think it's got to be Hogan. It's got to be one of them, because he's the best.
Legends.
I reckon the Mega Powers from 1988.
Wow.
SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Does that mean you get Elizabeth as well? Because I might come and pay and see that one.
Yeah, I reckon we get Soraya along and be able to make it a triple tag.
Oh, brilliant.
Now, guys, obviously recently, the thing a lot of the FWA fans will know you for is recently you invaded the FWA, kind of an impromptu match was put up between you and the New Breed, and you beat them in record time, something like 3 or 4 minutes for the FWA tag team titles. What is it like wrestling for the FWA? Obviously, you've heard a lot about it, and what's it like to be known as the FWA tag champs?
Well, we're proud to be known as the FWA tag team champions. We've worked hard, and we think we deserve them. We're also former WAW tag team champions. We've worked hard in that federation as well. To come down and wrestle the New Breed, well, we got a lot of stick for that on the internet, and during the time we did, but we've done 3 minutes, and that's all we needed to do. We beat him in 3 minutes. I don't think they'll be able to last 5 minutes with us.
That's the thing. I mean, a lot of the people don't realise that you are 2 of the most worked wrestlers. When I say worked, you take the most bookings of any of the guys in the UK. I mean, we had a big show at Urban Legends last night. A lot of people... your innovation, whereabouts does that come from? Is that something you've always been interested in? Are you trying to escape from the whole big man kind of stereotyping that you'll obviously receive?
We're British wrestlers, and the British wrestlers got a stigma to it. Big daddy, giant haystacks. We're going to go out there, we're going to do moves that they're not going to necessarily think a big man's going to do. We're going to do the big, go out there, do the big power bombs, do the flips off the apron. And to something they'll think, oh my God, that 35-stone man's just done like a leg drop off the second rope. You don't normally see people doing that. And
also, if we have to hurt ourselves doing it, we don't mind. I've done splash off the apron to the outside on one of the breed at Urban Legends, which I think was quite effective.
Well, guys, I mean, the audience are going to get a chance to make the judgment.
But when you have to dress somebody up with Paulie Dangerously and have the NWO come down to put heat on you, you're not much of a hand as far as I'm concerned.
Out of the guys that are there in that tournament, you've got Rob Van Dam, Test and Chris Jericho. If you were in charge there in the WWE, which one would you put at the top of that King of the Ring?
Van Dam's a hot hand right now. And that's where you're going to stay. Lesnar, no. It's too soon, too young. And again, if you have to have 4 or 5 people around you to get attention, there is no attention. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think McMahon will do it.
And of course, Jake, you've got big experience of King of the Ring because it was a famous King of the Ring when Stone Cold Steve Austin was born.
Well, I'm a businessman, you know. I enjoy doing what I do. I've done it too long enough to enjoy it. So, you know, I wouldn't want to be in there myself right now because not many people in there I'd like to be in the ring with, to tell you the truth.
Wow, and that will be after 9. We'll find out exactly what you mean by that.
Also, after 9 o'clock, Jake, the big thing we're going to be probing you on is Steve Austin. What are your feelings? Don't tell us now. After 9 o'clock, you'll get it from the horse's mouth. People say Jake Roberts is one of the men that made Steve Austin. It's a fact. He'll be giving you his opinion after 9. Also, coming up after 9 o'clock, we had the big challenge made by Dana White, the head of the UFC, on last week's show to Frank Warren. Have we
seen Lennox? We've all seen how he can perform. You know, not many people in the studio agree with me, but I think you listeners agree with me. So please ring in and tell me that Lennox or Mike Tyson or anyone could beat one of these guys.
Well, you want to watch your mouth because I could see Jake in the corner there warming up his DDT arm.
I'm
not
laughing,
a boxer.
I'm just laughing. It's hard to hit somebody when you lay on your back.
The other question.
Or your stomach.
The other thing we have for you as well, while we're on the subject of it, is of course, what is your favourite wrestler? The switchboards here are lit up, but you may still be able to get through later on by ringing 08704 202020. That's 08704 202020. Of course, you can email by going to talksport.net and clicking on the bar that says email the show. And if all that's not enough for you, if you're on the Vodafone network, you can text message by dialing 81089. But let's start from the beginning. Jake Roberts, how did you get into the wrestling business?
You know, I didn't even want to be a wrestler. I went to school, and went to high school, man. Finished high school in Texas, and my father was a wrestler, and never raised me. You know, come around about twice a year. You know, hey, how you doing? Going, you know, and I got out of high school. I wanted to be an architect, man. That was my dream. You know, I dug buildings. You know, I still do. That's why I'm over here now. And but I wanted my father, because he never appeared at a ball game or a graduation or any of those cool things. I wanted him to tell me he was proud of me. I was the first family member to ever graduate from high school and did it with honors and never worked at it. I was just very fortunate, I guess. But when I went to my father and told him that I was going to college, the first thing he said was, well, I hope you don't want any money. I'm like, hey, man, when have you given me any before? You know, you haven't been around to pat me on the back, much less do anything else. And unfortunately, because of youth, ignorance, and alcohol, a couple nights later, I was watching my father wrestle, and this brainstorm come across and said, Jake, if you want your father to be proud of you, what you got to do is go in there and beat up one of those damn wrestlers. What an ignorant dummy. I went out and challenged this guy that looked like a miniature Santa Claus, about 5'6", 5'7". His name was Jimmy Bad Boy Hines. He was about 55 years old, so I figured, you know, I'm 18, I want to be so high, I'm so bad. Yeah, well, he knew my father, and he took his time and just brutally stretched my body in every different way you could imagine. And at one point, I was in a hole that I had no idea what happened. And the referee says, Jake, you'll never get out of this. You know, you need to just scream uncle. Hell, I've been screaming uncle, aunt, grandpa, grandma, everything. And lo and behold, I look up above me, because the referee told me, nobody can get out of this hole. And I seen these two, can you say testicles? Yeah, okay.
You can say that.
I can
hanging
say
down,
that.
and
just as well we can.
And I reached up, and you know, I did what I could do. I bit them, and it's amazing what you can do when you bite your own testicles. I exploded out of that hole, and I was free. No, actually, the truth is, this guy stretched me beyond repair. I basically crawled back to the locker room because I had urinated on myself. I was brutally hurt. He took his time, did it in about 15, 18 minutes, just really had a nice time with me. And as I basically crawled in the locker room, my father looked down at me and he says, I'm ashamed of you, you're gutless, and you'll never amount to anything. I'm like, you know, you don't even know me. And from there, I gave up the dream and said, okay, I'm going to shove this business up your rear, big man. Because my father was a huge man, 7'4", 400 pounds. I've never asked anything from him. What gets me is he'll tell other people he's proud of what I've done, but he won't tell me. But I had to come to something. You cannot expect people to love you the way you want to be loved, okay? That's your own mind problem. What you got to do is come and accept it. Okay, I love my dad, but I don't have to like him. And I don't.
Just as Rick.
For wrestling fans,
Yeah.
and a mixture of casual fans who
Sure.
maybe haven't watched WWE recently, but they remember the glory days of the 80s. You know, you were
There was talent, okay?
you were the main one of the main driving forces behind those glory days. You wrestled on all the big events. There has to be one standout moment in that period of 10 years between the 80s and 90s that really sticks in your mind as the glory point of your entire career.
Well, I've had some great ones and some good times and some bad times, but they've all been sweet times, man. 'Cause you know yourself, man. When you're in that ring, man, it's your world, okay? And nobody can mess it up for you. There's been some special times with Andre. Some really crazy things happened out there. It's amazing when you're trying to kill somebody and they don't know it. You know, what a weird feeling you get. Because I used to hit that man as hard as I could, and he didn't even know it. And that was a little, you know, that's back to reality. Macho Man was a lot of fun because the guy's a psycho. You know, he's chewing coffee grounds. He doesn't drink coffee. That's a caffeine problem there. And getting his hair dry cleaned. And hooking that damn snake up to him was the best feeling I've ever had, to tell you the truth.
You know what? We actually have a question about that because that's a real memorable moment.
Oh, it was for me, brother. I watch it all the time.
Andrew from Wembley on line 5. You're through to Jake the Snake Roberts.
Hello?
Andrew?
Hello, is this Jake?
Yeah.
Alright. I just watching the tape when you faced Macho Man that when was it? It was on Super Tape 92. This Tuesday in Texas.
Yeah, Tuesday in Texas. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. I just remembered when you had to slap Elizabeth. I mean,
Yeah.
how did you feel about that?
How do I feel about it? I felt pretty good about it, actually. You know, trying to help Randy out, trying to help her out, you know. No, it's a business, man. We're out there entertaining, and, you know, anybody that steps in the ring with me knows that I'm coming at you and I'm coming hard. And she knew that, and Randy knows that, and we worked hard, and we received compensation of some sort. But it was a good time. But again, the best time was when that Pink Snake video, man. It was so cool, you know, because he's like, you know, Jake, make sure that, you know, things hooked up good, yeah, you know, because I want to make some money with this angle, you know. And so he says, after he lets go, you come back and use me. Maybe I want you to look him up one more time. So you guys didn't see the whole thing. It actually chewed on him for about a minute and a half. McMahon sent Elizabeth out first, and he sent Roddy Piper, who's deathly afraid of snakes. He killed his gimmick, man. He's shoving Elizabeth at me, you know. He's sacrificing her right up front. And so when finally, I tugged on the snake, man. I ragged him. I tried to get him to let go. He wouldn't let go. So finally I did the lion thing where you spread the jaws, you know. And this snake had chewed him for about a minute and a half. It was really cool. And so I thought, oh, wait, he told me to ask him. So I said, Randy, get that goddamn thing away from me. You know, and I felt good about that. You know, it was a good time.
Where about
you know, sometimes you brought into this world, man, and you get shouldered with some stuff that's pretty heavy, pretty crazy. I went through a lot of strange and bad situations as a kid. I'm not ashamed of them. I'm not angry at God because God gave them to me because he knew I could carry it, because he gave me that opportunity. And my deal is I got to let other people know, you know, hey, man, you can survive, okay? I went through a lot, man, as a kid, and passed around, fooled around, raped, you know, by a stepmother, and beaten, and all sorts of cool stuff, you know. Sister was kidnapped and murdered, you know, really fun stuff, you know. And that's okay, though, because you can survive. And the snake thing was because I was ashamed of my early life. I was scared to death. It's a horrible thing, you know, to be in a bed when you're 12, 13 years old, man, and hear steps coming down the hall, and you know what's fixing to happen, man. Well, it ain't cool being raped, okay? You know, that's not sex, okay? It's not making love, okay? And it'll trip you out. And that's okay, though, you know, because I know I got to help somebody else, man. And that's what it's about. And the snake thing was brought up because I knew if I carried a snake around, nobody would want to know a whole hell of a lot about me. You know, and nobody would want to sit next to me in the locker room. So they wouldn't be asking me no questions or anything. So I was able to hide behind it, if you will. The wall, basically. That's part of the wall. Because if you do put a 15, 16-foot python or a 10-foot cobra out, chances are nobody's going to ask you much of anything, except, you know.
Now, Jake, growing up, I mean, on my, I was just thinking back, there was only one time when I actually sat with my father, who also dislikes wrestling with a passion, and the only match he's ever sat and watched with me was WrestleMania 6, you against Ted DiBiase. And there was an element about that, we've actually got a call about that, and we'll take that after the break, but there was always an element about Jake the Snake Roberts where you had characters that were larger than life. Jake Roberts was always real. There was something very real about that character. Explain a little bit about that. Is that because it's just you, or what is it that really made people connect with you on that real sense?
I think the whole thing with me is, man, is that ring is my wife, okay? Because of what I went through as a kid, being passed around family to family, living with grandparents, alcoholic grandfather, passing out, puking on himself by noon each day. Real treat. Don't bring many friends by, do you? You hide, you hide, you hide. But when you finally get an opportunity, man, to strike out and be something that you're not. Because Jake's not an evil, bad, sick dude. Just looks like it, feels like it. I have to sometimes, but that's Jake. I protect myself now. You got to. These days and times, this world does not want to see any child survive, okay? That's what the drugs are for. That's what the alcohols are for. That's what all this stuff's for, man. It's because the world does not want to see you survive. Your parents may love you, man, but this world wants to kill you. And I knew that. What Jake was about, man, was the ring was the only place I could be free of my pain, my shame, my anger, my hate, my fear. So I could do anything. I could be anything. I could be safe. I could be proud. And I love that woman. That ring is the only woman I've ever been faithful to. And it makes me sick when I see people in that ring that don't respect her, don't love her, that prostitute her out, that rape her, that don't care, that are there for the bang for the buck. You know, it's sad to say, man, but I'll be glad when, man, all that goes down, because it'll be back to the days when there were wrestlers that did it for the love of the ring. Because, brother, when I started, I didn't come from the old school, okay? Everybody, old school, that's the new cliche, click thing. No, I'm from the school that burnt down before they built the old school, okay? I do it for love. If I was a good businessman, I wouldn't be doing this anymore. I would have sued McMahon when I got my neck messed up for bringing that 10-pound guitar on myself, you know? But that ain't what it's about, man. It's about the love for the ring. And that's the reason I've opened up a school, man, because I want to share that love. I'll help anybody, man. I'm not jealous. I don't care. I want to show people the feel, the heart, man. That's the rush. Match is something you truly enjoy, an opportunity to get in that ring, to be with the woman you love, man. That's what it's all about for me, man. I mean, there's been good times, bad times, but they're all great times, okay? And the last one I remember was the last one I was in, and that's what I'm looking forward to is my next one, man. Really do.
Okay, Jake,
I'd like to ask you, when The Undertaker first arrived in the WWF, you to some extent were responsible for putting him over as a heel.
Sure.
And then later in WCW you had quite a feud with Sting.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask how you think that Mark Calloway and Steve Gordan compare as people and as actual athletes.
You know all the great strip joints. This is the world over. He said, I'm traveling with you. I said, listen, basketball boy, because he used to play basketball for Memphis State. I said, you can't hang with me. Go back and play balls, dribbles on yourself, but don't try to ride with the snake. Basically, 7 weeks later, he's in the hospital with alcohol poisoning. Did not need no makeup anymore because his eyes were black. He was very ill. And the lesson is, you don't play the snake and not expect to get bit. And that was his first lesson. After that, Mark sat down and we got straight with each other, man. We had a good time. I love sharing. I love teaching, man. You know, how ugly could you be, man, if you've got something to share that will improve the product? What a fool not to do it. It'd be like saying, okay, I can save the world, but I don't want to today because I don't feel good. You know, wait a minute, man. Save the world, man. Wrestling needs to be saved right now, bro. It really does, man.
So yeah, you've alluded to this a few times, Shane, that you're not too impressed with some of the current crop of WWE stars. I mean, what do you think of some people?
Well, I'll tell you what. Jake's been wrestling 27 years. I haven't been on a major television show in a few years. Still put bums in seats. Everybody knows who Jake is. Now, let me think. Do you think you'll remember Sid Vicious in 6 years? You almost forgot him already.
I don't know.
Him now, yeah.
How about the great clothesline man, Lex Luger? Who? Okay. That's it. The difference today is simple. When I was growing up, you had to learn the hard way, and you were punished, and you had to work in an area where you're going to the same town every week. Well, it's hard to hold a job if you can't develop your skill and hone your skill to a perfect art. Because you got to go to that same town every week. You can't go in there and do the same nose-picking, butt-scratching thing, you know, or show your whatevers, you know? It's not a TNA show, man. It was work, okay? So you had to learn your skill, man. You had to learn real quick, because if you didn't, you were down the road. Okay, well, that's where I came up. Today, it's all visual, just like the movies. You can watch Die Hard 22, where the dogs are raping the world, buildings are blowing up, the world's going to end, you know, whatever. Or you can watch John Wayne simply threaten to pick that gun up and go, oh man, John's gonna shoot this son of a gun. Why? Because John Wayne made you believe and made you love. So he emotionally connected you. Jake Roberts emotionally connects you because you believe in him. Because why? Because he does his job, he works hard, and he gives it all. You know, I can't do the things that I did 26 years ago, and thank God I can. I'd kill myself. If I'd known I was going to live this long, I took better care of myself. What the hell? You know, what I'm saying is this. Less is more. You know, you can do 99 things right. You do the 100th one wrong, brother. You've destroyed all your credibility. You've destroyed your match. You've destroyed your career. Here's the way you can look at it. See what I'm talking about. If you're married for 20 years and you never cheat on your wife, and then that 21st year you get a little too drunk or whatever and you mess around, you go to her and go, baby, I never cheated on you before. Do you think that woman believes you? No. She don't believe you, huh? How could you? You're a liar. And that's what the fans look at. When you go out there and destroy your own credibility, you're a fool. And it's like Lex Luger, prime example. Great body, great look, 19 clotheslines, and who gets up? The other guy? Who's tough, Lex? You or that guy? Give me a break. Wake up. Smell the roses, man. It's what you do, how you do it, when you do it. Timing.
Here, here.
Timing.
And our switchboard is going mad at the moment.
Jake, let me just ask you, before we move on to the switchboard, who in the... I mean, obviously there were a lot of people that you don't think really deserve to be in that ring. Who out of the current crop of talent do you really think should be? And I'm really interested in your opinion on The Rock, of all people.
Well, I helped Rock a lot there at the first, man. We were staying in condos in Stamford, man, and I knew Rock's dad, and I knew his grandfather. He's worked extremely hard. He's got a great look. I've heard that the head's inflated. I don't know. I haven't seen him. I haven't talked to him. If he ever turned his face from me, I'd slap him. But I'll tell you something, man. What kills me is people like Sean and some of the others, and Brett, and poor Brett. Well, he took my title. Man, it wasn't your title. It's a business, man. Wake up. You know what was sickening, man, was whenever I was up there writing television, and I'd be over at Vince McMahon's house trying to write TV, and Vince would have to get on the phone and kiss both of their little butts for 2 or 3 hours just so he'd get an angle across so he'd do business. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Sean fakes a knee injury so my career's over so you don't have to drop the belt to Brett. I wonder, man. When you let inmates run the asylum, brother, you no longer have a business, okay? It's Vince McMahon's fault. And it's his fault because he simply took all the talent that was available, fed him to Hogan, burned him up, and he got bored because we were drawing money without his help. Vince is an egomaniac. You gotta remember this. He wanted to make chicken soup out of chicken poop. He did it with the Ultimate Warrior. It was great. Ultimate Warrior wrestled 20 minutes on TV. By the time he gets to the air, it's 7 minutes. Only problem was when he went to a house show, he didn't look like the same guy. Wow, can't follow your act, man. That's the people I have a problem with. Vince McMahon, greatest marketing man of all time. You know, if God had said, you know, I'm going to hire Vince McMahon to get my gimmick over, there'd be no devil. But unfortunately, Vince went with the other guy.
Something I've always said about Vince McMahon, people I tell it to disagree with me. I don't think Vince has got that smart a wrestling brain. I think Vince is a great businessman and a great promoter. Would you agree with that at all?
He loves the business because it's a tool to play with, because he likes to humiliate people, okay? Some days when we have time, we'll talk about the baby blue tights curse. If you ever get the baby blues, Bill, you're gone, man. He's going to humiliate you before you go. You think back about all the guys on their way out, they got the gimmicks changed and they went to the baby blues. You remember that. I can give you just a few. Just think about Jake, Rougeos, Martel, Hercules, Don Morocco. There's just a few, just off the top of the head. The baby blues, curse the baby blues. Vince McMahon knew what wrestling was, and he's pimped it about as far as you can. It does not take a great wrestler to crawl up on a whatever the thing is up there, you know, big screen, whatever, or get on top of a cage and jump off on his head. It does not take a great wrestler to do that. It takes an idiot.
But it's great
Okay?
entertainment, though, isn't it?
14 tables in barbed wire matches. Does it take a great wrestler? No, it takes a fool. Watch it on the corner, man, for free. You don't have to pay it.
Go down your local pub.
Absolutely.
Jake, I've got a really interesting call here, actually, from Stephen. He's from Belfast, and he's on line 4, and he wants to ask you while we're on the subject of the WWE. Stephen?
Hello?
Go for it. You're on through to Jake Roberts.
Hello?
Match with, who would it be?
Oh, easy. Taker or Benoit.
Right.
Benoit's excellent. And Guerrero's excellent. You know, I used to tag with Eddie. And, you know, there's some talent still around, man, but it's few and far between.
And if Vince gave you a call next WrestleMania, he wants you back.
Forget it.
What?
Absolutely not.
Never.
Let me tell you something, man. When I walked out of there, they said, Jake, you can't quit. You're writing television for us and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to keep wrestling because we need you to wrestle because Sean's hurt. I said, listen, I don't care, man. My body hurts. I'm not going to wrestle full time. Besides, I've written all this stuff now. You're going to pay me for both. Oh, no, we're just going to pay you for wrestling now. Well, why is that? Because I gave him 6 months of Steve Austin, how to get you over. He told me Steve Austin would always be a middle-of-the-card guy. I said, there's your next man, Vince. There's your next man. He didn't like that. But I was right. He hates it when you're right. You know? So therefore, when he started asking me to write things such as, a guy kissing another guy, Gold Dust, whatever, kissing Ahmed Johnson, and write that into the TV. Well, wait a minute, man. I got 7 kids, okay? And I don't dig that. You know, your personal preference is your personal preference. Your business is your business. But don't put it on the tube and shove it down my kid's throat and tell me it's cool to be whatever and and tell them it's good. So I refused to do it. They said, you got to do it. I said, no, I'm going to tell you what I got to do, brother. I got to look at myself in the mirror, man, because that's the only thing this world cannot take from you is your word and yourself. The world will take your family, take your money, take your health, take everything, man, take your life. But they can't take your word, man. Hold on to it. That's the only thing you'll ever have.
Jake, you've been a booker, you've been a writer.
Yeah.
What is the one piece of advice you'd give to, wannabe or would-be bookers, would-be writers?
Study what you're going to be doing. If you're going to be a brain surgeon, brother, you need to go to school and learn brain surgery. Get with some people that know what they're doing, man. And there's very few out there that actually know because everybody wants to go for the quick bang. They want to throw more fireworks in the air and all this and that, and expose somebody's whatevers. And there's no art to that. Look at what you're doing, man. And I'm no brain surgeon, okay? But for some reason, I've got a gift of, hey, you tell me to think of something, boom. If you tell me to do it right now, I can't do it. But you let me walk outside, walk around the block, halfway around the block, pick my nose, scratch my ass, come back, I'll give you 6 months straight, man. Bing, 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 every week. I don't know why. It's a gift, okay? But the joy of sitting in a locker room and not watching the match and knowing exactly what's going on because you designed this thing to perfection and visualizing it and seeing it and smelling it and tasting it, there's no greater high, man.
Do you think that pops have almost replaced heat in terms of the business now? And people go for the cheap.
Well, nobody knows heat. Nobody works hard enough to get heat anymore. And if they do get heat, then they turn around and make a ha-ha out of it. Classic example. Okay, they do the puke thing, which I thought was very poor taste, okay? Even drunk, I wouldn't do that. But with the Tommy Dreamer thing, where Undertaker falls in it, okay? Now, that's supposed to be like a real slap in the face. Now, they're going to shoot an angle with the Hardy Boys and go ahead and try to make some money, right? But what do they have Dreamer do the next week? Sorry about that. Hang on, that happens. What do they have Dreamer do the next week? Go out there with a pail of confetti and throw it, which completely destroys credibility of what was on that floor. So now it's a joke. You do not draw money in the wrestling business laughing. Don't do it.
Now, guys, we have Jake the Snake Roberts here live in the studio at Talksport, and you can ring in by dialing 08704 20 20 20.
Oh, big sign-up fee. It's simple. Show up. Give me 25 if you got 25. You ain't got 25, help me shovel some dirt after we get through, okay, bro? That's what it's about, man. Because, again, it's not about the money. Yeah, I dig money, man, but that ain't what it's all about, man. You want to wash my car, man? Boom, free workout. Let's do it. I don't care, man. I don't care. I want somebody to know what I know, man, because that's what's right. If I was given this, if the Lord gave it to me, if the other wrestlers gave it to me, if I had a brain fart that just fell in there, then it's my duty to share it with somebody else and try to keep this woman alive, man. Try to bring respect back to her. Try to make it able where you can bring your kids back down and watch the wrestling instead of having to put it on at 10 o'clock at night and blindfold everybody because of the bad content in here. What is it about sex, man? I mean, sex is cool, okay? I dig it, okay, yeah. But that's not wrestling. Okay? What is gang warfare? Is that heat? No, that's not heat, man. That's disgust. What is NWO? Don't respect anything. What is woman abuse? That's cool. That's what I want my children to find out. Even my ex-wife, I don't want my kids to beat her up. I want to. No, I ain't gonna go there. I ain't right. But, you said something about Austin, man. I'm gonna say one thing, and that's it. I love Steve Austin, okay? I spent a lot of time with him. I taught him a lot because Steve had been done wrong by WCW and really raped over, whatever. And I spent a lot of time and a lot of late night phone calls trying to get his character right, man. Austin 3:16 was not his idea. That was Jake. How about Austin 10 Commandments? You never heard that one, did you? Well, they wouldn't put this one out. Thou shalt not kill unless thou art pissed. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife unless she's really hot. You know, thou shalt honor mother and father unless they're jerks. You know, I mean, ideas being all the time. Doesn't matter. But Steve, a man walks away. A man does not put his hands on a woman. I'm sorry, I cannot respect that at all. And it hurt me. I didn't get angry. It hurt. Because I didn't think Steve... I can't, you know, I get myself in trouble, man, because if I see somebody abusing somebody, man, I can't dig that, you know what I'm saying? Women or children, man, I don't dig that at all, man. I got to snap. And that's not a good thing when I snap. It's messy. It's really messy. And, Steve, it hurts me that you've done that, and I just hope that you do get help, man. If you don't get help, then just keep the hell away from me.
You're through to Jake Robertson, Talk Wrestling.
Hello, Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
This is John from London speaking.
Okay.
I'd just like to know that I've watched many of your matches and I enjoyed all of them.
Yeah.
I especially like your match with Donkey Tonk, man, at WrestleMania 3.
That was fun.
In front of 93,000 fans.
Yeah, thank you. I just think...
And I just want to know what you think of Triple H.
Triple H just came a long way. We had a little altercation one time. When I went back to WWF in '96, I walked in the locker room. And at the time, Triple H was there, and he was, you know, in the clique, Sean's clique. And in other words, he was playing ha-ha and gopher for Sean at the time. You know, laughing at all Sean's jokes and trying to be entertainment for Sean because he was trying to suck up and get a spot, which I've never had to do because I have talent. And as I walked in, he goes, "Hell, wow, Jake Roberts, man, aren't you too old to get back in this business?" And Sean looked at me and went, "Oh, my God, Hunter, you're on your own, man." He said, "What do you mean, Sean?" It's funny, wasn't it? He goes, "You don't know him, man. He helped teach me. You don't know that crazy thing." He said, "I ain't in this, Jake, I'm sorry." And Sean walked out. And I told Triple H, I said, "Brother, if we ever wrestle, 30 seconds before I do it, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell the referee to tell you that I'm fixing to put a finger up here. And I will." You know, 4 months later, Johannesburg, South Africa, enter index finger. Okay? I asked the referee to now inform Mr. Helmsley that he's going to have to clean it off with his lips. And he goes, "No, you're sick, I'm not going to do this." And, referee, would you tell him that the next finger's going to be up there with him? That's a lesson, man. He works hard. He's worked extremely hard. You can talk about steroids if you want to. Let me tell you something about steroids, folks. You still have to hit the damn gym, okay? Don't get this false idea that, oh, I took a pill, I took a shot, and I jumped up and break the guy. It don't work that way. You know, you still have to work hard, so he's earned some of that. And he's earned my respect because he's learned a lot, and he's moved a lot. I don't know how he's gotten to some of the places he's been, but then again, I don't need to know. But I mean, Kurt Angle's a dude, though. Kurt Angle, man.
Kurt Angle, I mean, he's a... Now, Jake, actually, I was going to take another call, but let me just ask you this while we've got you. King of the Ring, Hulk Hogan and Kurt Angle, who do you think should win that match? It's a huge match.
Should?
Kurt.
Angle. Angle is a piece of property, man. They are going to wind up messing him up, though, doing this ha-ha stuff. Again, laughing, making him funny, ha-ha, putting a wig on. What the hell, man? You know, there's a way to get heat with that. Leave the damn thing on. But they won't. They've already pulled it off, pulled his pants down. What else are you going to do to the guy, man? Here's an Olympic champion, somebody with actual credibility, and what have you got to do to him? You got to drag him down in the mud and piss on him. Why? Why, Vince? Why must you humiliate all?
Now, we've got Scott from Leytonstone on line 4. Scott, you're through to Jake Robertson, Talk Wrestling.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, mate.
I love teaching people. Sometimes learning is a painful process, young man. You know, and I respect what these kids do and the way they're going at it. But let me tell you something. You don't live long being a fool. When you do some of the things that these guys are doing, well, let's just say this. 27 years for me, man. I've wrist reconstruction, part of my art's been removed, 2 discs out of the neck, fingers don't straighten out anymore, swollen ovary 1982, that was an interesting night. Broken ribs, broken nose, this nose hasn't always been this big. 16 root canals because swallowing hands and elbows are not good for you when they come in fast. How long will these guys make it? Again, 6 years, tell me who they were. And I like those guys, but You know, there's a fine line between talent, insanity, and ignorance. And you play a card every day. You gotta be careful.
Now, Jake, so kind of the answer there is the only way to find out is to go to Telford, I suppose. And find out.
Absolutely, because, you know, I never know. Well, okay, 0142 048 7252. I would give you a fax, but I really don't care about them damn computers. So that's that. You either call me or come see me or don't leave. I would like to begin giving the world a whole new product. One they haven't seen in 15 or 20 years. A wrestling program on television where guys actually wrestle. Oh, what a concept. The guys are actually wrestling out there. Oh my God, it's wrestling. Yeah, that's where I'd like to start. I'd like to start here, man.
Will it be hell show free?
You know what bothers me? Is it, I mean, you know, this whole revolutionary thing, 1776, there's a bunch of old stuff. It ain't my thing, okay? But what I don't understand is why some Englishman is not intelligent enough to realize that Vince McMahon comes over here and makes billions of dollars and nobody can figure out how to make a TV product so you can see from your money at home. Hello? Come in. Nobody home. Elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. Not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I can do it. We can do it. But it takes men to stand up, man. It takes men. Men that don't mind and women. Sorry about that. But you think snakes are rough. Like that, man. I'll fight a snake any day. You're not a woman. Hell no.
Now, guys.
Time to do it, man.
Now, guys, Jake, it's been great having you in the studio.
I've enjoyed it, man. I really have.
Fantastic interview. It's one of these things, you know. Go for it. What was going to say?
You know what?
You're touching me.
I often
does
say
that a lot, Jake.
I often say I'm the smartest man in wrestling aside from Dave Meltzer. Forget it. Jake the Snake Roberts, he is the brain of the business. He is Jake. Utmost respect, as we say over here.
Appreciate that.
Big up, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah, totally agree.
That does mean something, man. I'll tell you something, man. Again, love it or get the hell out of it.